Hi everyone, and welcome to this video where we are going to be building a custom GPT, also known as a large action model. So what we are going to be building is a frequently asked questions assistant, which will take data from an Excel spreadsheet. This includes questions and answers about my website, futurize.com. And I have a description here. It specializes in answering questions from a Google Sheet. So this is the preview area on the right-hand side where you can ask any question and it'll answer the question based on what's inside the spreadsheet. So it's your own custom knowledge base. And if it doesn't have the answer to the question, you can then update the spreadsheet by adding a row. And it'll then even go and email or reply to the person who sent us that question. So I'm imagining a scenario where I get a question via email and then I need to reply. I'll be able to do it all via this frequently asked questions assistant in a fraction of the time that it would usually take me. So let's go test this out. I'll ask, what is Futurize? All right. So I just asked what is Futurize. Now it's asking me to call the endpoint, which is the Zapier endpoint. I'm going to allow it. And now what it's doing, it's busy connecting to the Google Sheets API, and it's busy reading in all the data from the spreadsheet. And it's then going to generate an answer if there is a match with the question and answer column pair. So we can see here, it has given us a response. Futurize is the go-to learning platform for working professionals seeking to upskill with tech tools quickly and effectively, blah, blah, blah. If I come to the sheet, you can see this cell here. Futurize is the go-to online learning platform for working professionals seeking to upskill with tech tools, etc. So it was able to find an exact match and give the answer. Note, even if the question isn't asked exactly as it's written over here, it's still going to be able to answer the question. So let me come back here. Let me ask it a question that it doesn't have. I'm going to say, what is the Futurize LinkedIn page URL? So I know this question isn't currently in the knowledge base. Let's see how the assistant handles it. Once again, it's asking us to confirm, to call the endpoint. It's busy starting that. And you can see it replies, I don't know, please teach me what the answer should be so I can add a new row to the Google Sheet. So now I'll come get the URL from LinkedIn. I'll Control C to copy that and I'll paste that in here. This is the URL. Okay, send that in. Let's see what happens now. Starting action. All right. I'm going to click confirm. It replied saying, I've prepared the information to add to the Google Sheet. Please review and confirm the addition here. After confirming, let me know if there's anything else you need. So I'm going to click here. And it brings us to this human in the loop where you can verify if the question and answer is okay. So you can see here, it has the question, what is the Futurize LinkedIn page URL? And the answer, there is the link. All right, I can test this and check if it works. And it does indeed. I'm just going to go back and I'm going to click run. Okay. So now I'm clicking run. And what it should now do is append this new row to the Google Sheet. I'm going to come to the sheet over here. I'm going to scroll here and you can see it's actually already added that line. What is a Futurize LinkedIn page URL? And it added it right there. So now I'm going to come back. I'm going to say done. All right, just letting it know I'm done. Great. The new row for Futurize LinkedIn URL has been added to the Google Sheet. If there's anything else you'd like to know or do, just let me know. So I'm going to say reply to the user via email who asked this question. So there's no user who's actually asked me this question, but I'll show you there's also a human in the loop section where you can validate that. So I'm going to click confirm. Once again, now it's calling the Gmail API via Zapier. All right, let's just wait for this. It says, I've prepared the email reply. Please review and confirm the email here. Let me know once it's sent or if you need any further assistance. So I'm going to click here and you can see here, it's identified the URL that most closely matches the question. Like I said, I haven't received an email with this question. No one's asked me what the LinkedIn URL is, but there is a question, when does a Futurize ChatGPT course start? So it's realizing that this question relates to Futurize and it's relating to a course. So it kind of it gave its best guess, but let's say it wasn't this one. You can click edit and you can click this drop down and you can select the thread conversation that it's supposed to reply to. And then you can click this run button and it'll then send the email. Right, I'm not going to do it now, but it does work. And I'm going to show you now how we can build this from scratch. Hello world, my name is Leon Petru, and on this channel, we help busy working professionals upskill with automation and AI through simple step-by-step tutorials to help you be more productive, streamline your workflow, and make your life easier. If that sounds like your thing, consider hitting the subscribe button and notification bell. Okay, so I'm going to close this and I'm going to come into the ChatGPT homepage, and I'm going to assume a fresh slate as if you've never done this before, and we're going to build it completely from scratch. So I highly recommend that you follow along. I'll include all the resources in the description of this video so that you can follow along and build this specific custom GPT. And then in the future, you can go ahead and build your own custom GPTs. All right, before I jump into it, I just want to mention that this is also called a large action model. So this is kind of a shift from large language model to large action model, which allows these language models to interface with the outside world. All right, so you're able to integrate via API and perform actions on other applications or other systems, not just within the ChatGPT ecosystem, but with other applications. And that's what's so powerful, because this allows you to automate a lot more processes within your day-to-day workflow. This only works with the GPT Plus, so it's the paid subscription, or with GPT Enterprise. All right, if you have the free version, which only uses GPT 3.5, you're not going to be able to access custom GPTs. So you need to upgrade. It's $20 a month. I highly recommend it. It really is worth it. You want to click on Explore GPTs. All right, and this is the GPT store, which you can go play around with. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff over here, like DALL-E, data analysis, creative writing coaches, logo creators, writers, etc. Right? I'm not going to explore these. I'm mainly going to show you how to build a GPT in this video. So you want to click this button, which is create. I also created a summary for you guys over here, which I'll include in the description. Okay, this is a step-by-step process. You can see it's a 6-step process. Step number 1 is sign into ChatGPT Plus, click Explore GPTs, and click Create, which is this button over here. And then step 2, we're going to configure the GPT with a name, description, image, and instructions. So I'm going to click Create over here, and then I'm going to give it a name. So I'll call this FAQ Assistant, and the description, I'm going to say answers questions about futurize.com, referencing data in a Google Sheet. All right, the more descriptive, the better. I also want to mention you can also create all of this in this create section over here. This is basically a wizard where you can message the GPT builder and you can tell it what GPT you want, and it will then go ahead and populate all these fields for you. It will ask you for a name, description, custom instructions, etc., and it'll populate all these fields. I don't recommend using the wizard. Usually wizards are unreliable. If you want full control on building a robust and reliable GPT, you want to do it in the configured section over here. Okay, I'm also going to create an image. You can click this plus button. You can either upload one from your PC or you can use DALL-E. And DALL-E is OpenAI's image generation model. So it's basically going to use my name and description, and it's going to try create an image. It's just a fun thing to do. It's not really that useful. Just a nice way to differentiate between your different GPTs with an image. Next, we have the instructions. What does this GPT do? How does it behave? What should we avoid doing? There's our GPT, all right, just like a little robot dude. All right, that's fine. So for the instructions, I've already written the instructions off camera, which is this over here. So I provide a role, all right, and some responsibilities. All right, so the role is you are a customer service agent who answers questions for an online learning platform, futurize.com. And then the responsibilities, I've provided 3. Okay, so I'm just going to copy all of this, Control C and Control V. The first responsibility is it must use Zapier to look up existing questions in the Google Sheet and then provide a relevant answer based on the closest matching question or combination of questions. Number 2, if the Google Sheet doesn't contain the relevant answer, it must reply with I don't know. And it must say, please teach me what the answer should be. And then it must create a new row with a question and answer in the Google Sheet and interpret what the question and what the answer should be from the chat. And then thirdly, if requested by the user, reply to the email with the approved answer. Okay, so that's my prompt. If you're wondering what I'm doing over here with these hashtags, this is just prompt engineering. It's just basically creating a visual differentiator between the different paragraphs. In this case, it's the role and the responsibilities. And then using spacing and numbering is also good practice for prompt engineering. If you're interested about learning prompt engineering in more detail, I do have a ChatGPT course on Futurize. The title of the course is How to Become an AI Prompt Engineer, and you can check that out. I'll include a link in the description. Next, we have conversation starters. Okay, and conversation starters are basically the prompts that get added over here. What I always recommend including here is, what are you capable of? Or what can you do? Something like that, just so that the user can click that so that they know what the custom GPT is able to do. You can also create more if you want, just like that. Just going to click X to delete these. I'll just keep what are you capable of. Next, we have knowledge. All right, so custom GPTs are made of three main things. It's an instruction, it's knowledge, and it's actions. So the instructions we saw already over here. Then knowledge, this is where you can upload your own custom knowledge in the form of files. So this could be an Excel spreadsheet, it can be a PDF, it can be a text document, it can be a Word document. This works with almost any kind of file that contains data that you want to use within your GPT. Next, we have these capabilities. Currently, they provide three different capabilities. We have web browsing, DALL-E image generation, and then code interpreter. So web browsing is if you want your GPT to be able to access internet data. So this uses Bing. It does a Bing search, basically like Google, where it's able to find latest news articles or any Bing search results. So I'm going to uncheck this since it's not relevant to this specific GPT because we only want to reference the Google Sheet. DALL-E image generation. This is if you want your GPT to be able to generate images. Like earlier, we saw there was a logo generator GPT in the GPT store. They would have used this. I'm not going to use that, so I'm going to uncheck it. Then there's code interpreter. If you're ever using any kind of knowledge source over here, you have to check code interpreter because this uses Python in order to go and read the data in those files. So I'm going to click upload files. I'm just going to give you a quick demo and I will upload this Excel spreadsheet, which contains the same questions. I'm going to say, is there a money back guarantee according to the Excel spreadsheet attached? Now, I should note that before you run this, you should click create. All right. I will run through the differences between these briefly, but only me is only you have access to the GPT. Anyone with a link means whoever you send the link to has access to GPT, and publish to the GPT store. That's the GPT store I showed you earlier. I'm going to click only me. I'm going to click share. I'm going to keep this private for now. All right. And there's the URL for whenever I want to access it. Okay. Now I'm going to click run to run this. And let's see if it's going to work. So it's busy analyzing the Excel spreadsheet. Okay. Let's see if it can answer the question. Seems like there was an error. Let's see what it says. Seems like there was an error to find the information. It's trying again. Okay. It says, yes, there is a 30-day money-back guarantee. The policy states, enroll in any course, and if you've completed less than 30% of the course within 30 days and decide it's not for you, you can get a full refund. Just email our support team, no questions asked. And if I open up the spreadsheet, you will see that that question was included. So if I open up the Excel spreadsheet and I look for that question, you can see here is where it referenced that answer. Enroll in any course, and if you've completed less than 20% of the course within 30 days, blah, blah, blah. I noticed that there was a hallucination here. It said 30% of the course within 30 days, but in fact, it's actually supposed to be 20% of the course within 30 days. All right, so you can usually fix problems like that with prompt engineering. So for instance, if I prompted in the instructions over here and I said, reply with the answer exactly as it is shown inside the Google Sheet, it won't make that kind of mistake. All right, so that's the importance of instructions and prompt engineering. You need to make sure that you're very explicit on what you want it to do. Next up, I'm just going to delete this, okay? And I'm going to uncheck code interpreter because we're not going to be using it. And I'm then going to click update. Okay, so let me just close this little pop-up. Next, we have actions. So here at the bottom, we have create new action. So this is the part that confuses most people regarding custom GPTs. And I'm going to show you now how we're going to integrate this with Zapier. So I'm going to click create new action. Okay, before I get into this, let's see where we are with our steps. All right, we just completed step 1 and step 2. Now we are on step 3, where we add the OAS. And OAS stands for Open API Specification, right? Also known as an Open API schema. And we're going to do this via importing it through the URL. And we can get that URL from this URL over here. So once again, I'll include this in the description. It'll bring you to this documentation, which Zapier set up for us. So it's a nice article explaining how to use these Zapier AI actions. So this is a special URL that you want to import the schema. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to come back here, and you'll see here under schema, you want to click import from URL, Control V to paste that in and click import. And you'll see here it has imported the schema. All right, and you can see the title of the schema, Zapier AI Actions for GPT. Okay, this is in JSON format. These OpenAPI schemas can either be in JSON or YAML format, which is basically a human readable as well as a machine readable schema that it is able to deserialize and basically run that script. So a human reading this will be able to understand what the API is doing, if you're a developer, of course, and at the same time, OpenAI is able to take this schema and run API calls using the schema. So you can do this with Zapier. You can also do it with make.com. They also have an available schema, as well as other applications. So these schemas are available with most popular software products which have APIs. The developers usually set these up. You can also create them manually from the documentation. And there are schema builders. There's even GPTs on the GPT store to help you build these schemas. I don't recommend it. I only recommend using the schemas that these developers give you because they are more reliable. So for example, let's say we wanted to use Asana's OpenAI schema. So let's say you use Asana for project management. You can go to the developer documentation, OpenAPI specification, and here in YAML format is the schema for Asana. And you would literally copy all of this, and then you would come here and you would paste it in. All right, so that's a way of just pasting it in manually instead of using a URL. So you can also use make.com or any other API's open API schema in order to use the API as a action inside of your GPTs. Okay, so you can see here at the bottom, it lists also the available actions. So what this schema is able to do, it's able to get the actions that are available in your Zapier account. It's then able to run the actions via post API call, and it's then also able to guess which Zap it should use. So there's 3 different actions that this specific schema uses. All right, and at the bottom, this is the privacy policy. So this is where you would add Zapier's privacy policy, okay? Not your own company website, more specifically the privacy policy of the API that you're using. Right, I'm going to click update. You need that privacy policy if you want to share this and you want to change it to publish to the GPT store or anyone with a link, you're going to need this privacy policy added. Cool. So that's all for adding the schema. It's literally as simple as copying this URL and pasting it into here. I'm going to go back, and next, let's open up our handy text editor. Step number 4 is to add the Zapier instructions template into the prompt. All right, so if I come back here to that same URL we went to earlier, if I scroll down here, you'll see there are some instructions. It's a template that Zapier provides to us that we add into our instructions in our custom GPT. So I'm going to copy this, and you're going to notice here at the bottom, required actions. This is where we're going to need to make some changes. In this specific template, they are using Google Calendar to find an event and the Slack send direct message in order to send a message. So you can have multiple actions, as you can see here. If you want, you'd only have one with these two, right? If you want 2 actions, you would copy paste it like this. If you want 3, you would copy this into a new row, etc. Okay, I'm just going to copy all of this, Control C, and then I'm going to come here, and then underneath our instructions we have here, I'm going to click Shift Enter, Enter, now click Control V, and I have now pasted in the custom instructions, which is basically telling the model how to use the Zapier actions. So I don't recommend changing anything over here. I only recommend changing the action and configuration. So I'm just going to delete what it provides us here, this action, and then I'm just going to delete this bottom one. I'll add it in later when we need it. So I'll leave this blank for now. Okay. And then the next step is now to go and actually get the action name and get the configuration link. So this is where it now gets exciting. I'm just going to click update so we don't lose any changes. And I'm going to come here, and we have step number 5 to create the Zapier GPT actions. So I've provided the URL where you can go and actually create these GPT actions. So you can see it says create an action to read a Google Sheet, add a row to the sheet, and then reply to the email. So that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to come to a new tab, paste that in. Okay. You can also find this URL over here inside of this documentation, right? That URL over there. So that will bring you here. If it's the first time you're doing this, it's going to take you to a page where you need to authenticate. So you can just click yes to authenticate that. So here are the current actions I've currently configured. I'm just going to go and disable all of these. And I'm going to create a new one from scratch. So I'm going to pretend like I'm you and we are creating this completely from scratch. So here you can type in the name of the Zapier software you want to integrate with. Zapier have 6,000 different applications that you can integrate with and 20,000 actions across all of those. Actions include stuff like reading an email, replying to an email, sending an email, adding a row to a Google Sheet, reading the text from a Google Doc, etc. All right, there's a lot you can do. So I'm going to come here and search Google Sheets. And you'll see it now gives me all the actions that are available. So we can either create a spreadsheet row, look up a spreadsheet row, update a spreadsheet row, create multiple rows, etc. So what I want specifically is to use this one over here. Get many spreadsheet rows, advanced output as line items. So that's what we want to do. So that's going to read in the whole spreadsheet. Okay. And then by clicking that, you can see now it's got all these fields we need to populate. Okay, so you then need to select the Gmail account that you're referencing. If it's the first time you're connecting the account, you're going to have to click Connect New. You want to click Yes, continue to Google Sheets, and then you want to sign in with your Gmail account or your Google account where you have created this Google Sheet. All right, so in my case, I created this Futurized Q&A sheet inside of my leon@futurized.com account. So coming back here, I've made sure I've assigned leon@futurized.com to this Google Sheets account. You want to then connect your own one. Then you want to select the spreadsheet. So inside that account, I have multiple spreadsheets. So I want to select a specific value for the field. If I click inside of this field, it says loading and it'll show me all my spreadsheets that I currently have there. I'm going to click this Futurized Q&A, which is the name of this document that I have over there. Next, we want to select the worksheet. All right. So once again, we want to select a specific value. You would have noticed that you can allow AI to guess the value for the field, which is very useful. And I'll show you how to use that in a later action we set up. The worksheet is going to be sheet number 1. All right. And I'm getting that from over here. It says sheet number 1. That's the name of the sheet inside this specific Futurized Q&A worksheet. Next, we have the columns. So it says, let us know which columns to return. Example, A:Z. So you can either guess, I want to specify. So in our case, we only have values in columns A and B. All right. The rest C all the way to the end is all empty. So I'm going to put A:B to read in the first 2 columns. Next, we can specify how many rows we want to read in. So I'm going to select a specific value for this field. right? You can see the maximum is 500. So that's a limitation with this. If your Q&A document has more than 500 questions, this won't work. You're going to have to find a workaround, maybe use Google Docs instead of Google Sheets, or maybe use Airtable or something else. So what I'll do, I'll just select 40 over here for now. I know I currently have 32 line items, so it's giving me some breathing room to add a few more questions later on. But you can always change this later. Next, you can see here we have show all options. I'm going to click that. That's very important. Next, it's asking us which is the first row inside of the sheet. So it's the number of the first row to return, where 1 is the header. So we have here 1 is the header. So the first row in our case is number 2. So we can leave that to the default, which is 2. So that's fine. Next, we have the action name. All right, and this part is probably the most important part of setting this up. This is where you need to give it a very distinctive name in order for the AI to understand what this specific action does. So you can either use the default, which is Google Sheets, get many spreadsheet rows, advanced output line items, etc. It's not clear what this does, okay? So I'm going to give this a more distinct name. I'm going to say get questions and answers from Google Sheets. I think that's fine. Cool. And what I want to note is that this action name here is what gets assigned to the action over here inside of your instructions. So it needs to be an exact match. So I'm just going to do that now before I forget. I'm going to copy this, come here and paste that in. Okay. And then coming here, you can copy the URL that this page is currently on, and that is the configuration URL. Come back to configuration link, put a space, and paste that in. So now this is able to link which exact action we need to configure, and we can also reference the link using the action name so that it's able to go and read in all that data. The last thing is this little checkbox over here, require preview before running AI action. So remember earlier when we got that pop-up, closed it now, but it showed that pop-up where I was able to edit the values, for example, in the email or for the question and answer. It gave us that link that I opened and I could edit and run it. That's what this does. So if I check this, it will require the preview for you to have a validation station in between, also known as a human in the loop within the automation. But in this case, reading in the data, we don't need a human in the loop to validate that because it's quite simple. I don't need to check that. So I'm going to uncheck that and then click enable action. All right. So I'll come back here. And since we've now configured this action and configuration link, it should now all be set up. Let's just check our notepad over here. And we can see the next step is add the action name and configuration link in the instructions. We just did that. I'm just going to click update over here. And let's now ask it a question. Notice that Excel spreadsheet from earlier is gone. So now the question we're asking is asking the Google Sheet. That's the Futurize Q&A sheet. So I'm going to say, what is Futurize? Send that in and let's see if this works. So it's asking us to allow, you can also click always allow to avoid getting this pop-up, but I actually like getting this pop-up where I can allow or decline. So I'm going to click allow, and there is the response. Futurize is the go-to online learning platform for working professionals seeking to upskill with tech tools quickly and effectively. Our AI-powered personalized learning paths are designed to fit any schedule, teaching only what you need and excluding unnecessary fluff. How amazing is that? All right, so now what we can do is I'm going to show you how to set up some more advanced actions, which is adding a question or a new line item to that Google Sheet. And then lastly, I'll be showing you how to actually send an email to a user. Okay, so back to this Zapier API actions, click on add new action. And once again, we can type in Google Sheets, and we then going to use this action. Google Sheet creates spreadsheet row. So this creates a new row in a specified spreadsheet. So I'll click that. It pre-populates the Leon@Futurize account for me, so it remembers it from before. That's great. Next, you want to select the spreadsheet. Once again, select a specific value, Futurize Q&A. Next, we want to select the worksheet. We want to specify the value. sheet 1. Then we have the question, all right? And this is where it's now useful to, instead of specifying the specific question, we say, have AI guess a value for this field. And the same applies to the answer, have AI guess a value for this field. Okay, and remember, inside of our instructions, I told it that it must interpret what the question is and what the answer is from the chat, right? And with that, it's then more clearly defined so that it can guess the question and answer over here. Next, I'm going to check this box. So usually you want to have a preview. This is the rule of thumb. You want to have a preview whenever you have AI guess value inside of one of these fields, because that's when you need a human to verify that the AI isn't making a mistake. I'll then click enable action. Oh, once again, I forgot something. Okay, so I'm going to go back and you can see it's because I forgot to change this name. So I'm going to open this back up. I'm going to scroll back down and you want to click show all options. Okay. And over here is the action name. Right, there's also this Google Drive folder that you can configure. If I select a specific value, let's see what happens. Just disappears. That looks like a bug from Zapier's side. Maybe by the time you're following along with this video, that error will be gone. Cool, action name. Let's give this a nice and descriptive name. So I'm going to call this create a new row in spreadsheet with the question and answer. Notice I didn't just say create a new row. I said create a new row in spreadsheet with the question and answer. So it's more explicit about what it needs to do. Once again, leave that checked and click done. Okay. Next, we then need to copy this name. So I can copy it from here. All right. I clicked it by right clicking on it. I'll just come back here and copy it from here. Right click, copy, back here, and then scroll all the way down to the bottom of the instructions over here. And remember, we had this action and configuration link. Now we have a new one. So I'm going to Control C to copy this, Shift Enter, Control V to paste it in. I'm then going to delete this existing action name and that URL. All right, we want to keep the previous one, and then we're adding a new one for the new action. Once again, I need to come and copy this action name, come here and paste in the action name, and then come back here, copy the URL, Control C, back here, configuration link, space, Control V. Awesome. That should do it. I'm then going to click update. Great. Now I'm going to test this out by asking a question that I haven't asked before. All right, let's see. So the last thing we had was that from the demo, we added the LinkedIn page URL. I'm going to make up a new question. I'm going to say, who is the founder at Futurize? Okay, send that in. Click allow. It says, it looks like the required Zapier AI actions to complete your request are not yet enabled. Please enable the following actions. And it's sending us to our 2 actions to go and enable. So I should mention this is actually currently a bug. And I don't know if this is a bug from ChatGPT side or if it's a bug from Zapier side, but usually just giving it time will usually fix this problem. Also, clearing cache and cookies in the browser, according to some forums, fixes this problem. What I've noticed works best is literally just giving it time. So if I just leave this and come back in about 10 or 20 minutes, it should work. But sometimes I get lucky and it works like when I just ask it immediately. Let me just try, maybe I'll just click this update button and maybe I'll refresh this browser. Maybe I'll exit, refresh again. By the way, if you want to go back into the edit mode of one of your GPTs, all right, you can click on your GPT. It'll open up this GPT in the assistant mode. And then you can click this drop down, click edit GPT, and it'll take you back to this configuration mode over here. Let's test this out again. I'm going to say, who is the founder? Let's Futurize, send that in, click allow. Let's hope this works. Looks good so far. Oh, there you go. Great, it worked. Sometimes just refreshing the browser works. I don't know, it's weird. It seems the question about the founder of Futurize isn't directly answered in the Google Sheet. To proceed, I'll need to add a new row with this question and its answer. However, before I can do that, could you please teach me what the correct answer is? Amazing. I'm going to say Leon Petru is the founder, which is yours truly. I'm going to send that through. Now it's busy starting the other action. I'm going to click confirm. By the way, you could see what it's doing. There you go. And there's the response. I've prepared to add the question and answer about Leon Petru being the founder of Futurized to the Google Sheet. Please review and confirm the addition to continue. After confirming, let me know so I can ensure everything's set up correctly. Click this button. All right. And we can see here, it's got the spreadsheet, the worksheet name. Here's a question. I guessed it correctly. Who's the founder? And Leon Petru is the founder. Great. Before I click run, I just want to show you here in the spreadsheet that in line 33, there's nothing written there. Come back here and click run. And I'm just going to come back to the sheet. You can see it just added it. So it's super fast. Who's the founder of Futurize? Leon Petru is the founder. Awesome. So now the next time someone asks that question, we'll have it in the database. Now we have set up 2 actions. The third action, we are now going to be sending an email to the actual person who sent me an email asking that question. So I don't even then need to go and open up my Gmail. I don't even need to go to the sheet and copy paste it. It'll literally all be done seamlessly for me. So let's go set that up. I'm going to click back here. Just going to close these other sheets because it's a bit confusing. Okay, I'm going to click add a new action. And now we need to reply to an email. So we're going to be using Gmail, right? There's also other actions you could use or other service providers. For example, you can use like Outlook. If you use Outlook, I'll search that, it should come up. There's all the Microsoft Outlook stuff for sending emails, etc. But we want to use Gmail because that's what I'm using in this case. What we want to do is use reply to email because I'm assuming this user's already sent me this question via email. So I'm going to click reply to email. Then we need to choose the Gmail account. So it's currently selected on the wrong one. I'm just going to change that to leon@futurize.com. All right. Next, we want to have AI guess the value for this field. All right. So this is for the thread because we can't specifically specify one thread because we haven't even received those emails yet. So this we have to have AI guess it for us, which means we have to have this checkbox checked because we need a human in the loop. Next, we have the to, so we can have AI guess the value for the field. So it should then guess the email address which is attached to this thread. It should be able to do that for us. Then the body, we can also have AI guess the value for the body of the email. So what's that email actually going to contain, which is the answer to the question. The AI should populate that for us. Once again, show all options. You can also set a blind carbon copy. I'm not going to set a value for that field. All right. We can say who it's from. All right. So you can select the email address or alias from your Gmail account who it's from. So I'm going to set a specified value for this. All right. And it's going to be sending from, select this, leon@futurize.com. The body, it must guess that. From name, Leon. If you want a separate reply to email address, it's not relevant now. Body type, you can choose how you want the body of the email to be formatted. I'm just going to use the default plain text. You can also label the mailbox and you can also add an attachment. I don't need to do any of that. And then the action name. So for the action name, I'm going to write reply to email with the answer to the question. All right. That seems descriptive enough. And once again, you want to keep this checked because we want to make sure that the body of the email is including the correct answer and it's just written out correctly. I'll click enable action. Okay. And it is now enabled. Once again, we need to come back here, scroll all the way to the bottom and copy paste this action. So now we're going to have 3 actions. Okay. I'm going to delete the name from the previous action. Delete this previous configuration link, come back here, open up this reply to email and scroll all the way to the bottom, show all options. They should actually show that by default. I'm going to click copy, back here, paste in that name. Back here, copy this URL for the configuration link, paste it in there, put a space after the colon, and there you go. Click update. Lastly, if you want to share this and make it public, to publish it to the GPT store, of course, it doesn't make sense to make this public because it's a private one. Maybe anyone with the link so that your team can use this to help answer the questions from your clients. I'm going to click share, and the link is here, copy link, right? And now any user in your team or anyone can go to this URL, and then they can ask the questions over here, like what is Futurize? And it will then give you the answer. How's that? It says you have reached your current usage cap for GPT-4. Please try again after 11:51. So that's quite convenient that this happened at the end of this video and not during, right? But GPT-4, you are limited to the amount of prompt or requests you can send through. And GPTs do tend to use more tokens than the normal ChatGPT chat interface. So that is all. Lastly, if you do want to publish it to the store, remember you have to first go scroll to the bottom here, go to this settings under the action, and you want to add in the Zapier privacy link. All right, so you can see Zapier automatically added it for us, so it should be ready to publish. If you did enjoy this video and if you want to learn how to prompt engineer better, check out the Futurized course. I have a course on exactly prompt engineering. Let me show you that, futurized.com. Right, that's what this whole project was about. It was about this website. You can click on courses and you can come here, click on ChatGPT, and you can then become a generative AI prompt engineer. You'll get a certificate. It's a 10-hour part-time course specifically designed for busy working professionals like yourself. You can come here, check it out, watch the promo video, check out the success stories, and there's a free trial. You can join the free trial. You get access to the first sprint completely free. So there'll be a link in the description to join the free preview of this course. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you like this. Please comment for any other videos you would like to see from our channel, and hit the notification bell if you'd like to see future videos from my account. Thank you for watching.